Isn't just about loving somebody else, it's about loving yourself first. So love what you eat as much as you love. Yeah. Love yourself by showing yourself love by cooking yourself real good food. I think that's the message for this week. Love is just not giving it away, it's also giving it back to you.
Love it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Juice and the Sauce. As always, you're joined by your two co-hosts, myself, Lucinda Pink, and Nastassja Lusengo. What's happening? How you been?
I've been good. I'm very relaxed today. I've got my auntie headscarf on. I'm in full mode because we've got a little change of venue.
Indeed.
You know, we're in comfortability slightly. But yeah, I've been good. Mm-hmm. Last week was like, you know what, like some of it I was just like, well, I want to throw away the half of the week, and the other half was really good. I had a really good week. It was tiring, but I was really happy after all of my orders and all of my deliveries last week. Really happy. You
know, I've noticed like over the past week, I've been thinking like, how many cakes you bake? Like there's a new cake on Instagram, like it feels like every 30 minits. It's like, wow.
You know what it is like I have a maximum and minimum order. Like my order rate this week is just like literally, I don't, sometimes I'm just like, what? I agree. I agreed to a lot this week. So this week is going to be one of those weeks where I'm just like all frazzled out, but it's all worth it because the next week is quite a light week, you know, but, I would say like some of the cakes that I post up on Instagram, I did those ages ago and I just haven't posted them. Okay. But on my stories, it's kind of in live time. Sure. Not all the time, but I'll say like, maybe I'd say it's a throwback, but usually that's in live time. I don't know, it just like, January is always quite quiet. Beginning of January, it's towards the end of January into February, like we're going into March, April, like literally that's how the year kind of just speeds by. I mean, this week, I feel like, you know, I'm one of those people, I say this all the time, when I'm working, I actually don't like to talk to people. And that's not in a bad way, it's just me, I'm just so focused on what I'm doing. So this week I had like, I'm not sure if I should say they're my friend at this point. I think they've been demoted. They've been demoted to, it's not even being demoted. I'm just like, I think right now you're an associate, and like, it's weird because I really like to, I always hold space for people when they have like a problem or they need to let stuff off their chest, because I feel like, you know, if I'm working, I can listen, you know, and usually I can take that energy sometimes and put it into positive. But when someone is calling you and talking to you about a situation, like consistent, you know what it is the person called me about a situation and I was happy to hold the space for them to talk. Right? Sure. And then it turned out to be that this person started sending me like, they sent me 185 messages. And I'm not one of those people. I'm just kind of like, I know I like to write a good essay. Like I can tell you, my exes can tell you that Nastassja can write you a great essay, like great essay writer. But I don't ever think I've sent someone like 185 messages in one go and expected the person to read them in one go. I will tell you, I've only read about 30 of them. And 30 isn't even a lot, like, you know, but it was just, and then it was the consistency and talking about this issue when I was like, and the issue is this person likes somebody, but that somebody already told them that, yo, I like you, but I just want to see where this goes. And for me, if a guy or a female, well, if a guy tells me we'll see how it goes, it definitely means that this bus has no destination, and at any point this guy can just jump ship because there's no guarantees. It's not a love thing, it's just, you know what, I've got things that I'm doing, you're here, it's good, it's gonna be a vibe, but that's about it. It's just a vibe, that's it. And that's what I was telling the person. I was like, this is just a vibe. So this person can jump ship at any time. But it's the fact that the person was still going on and saying that it was true love. And I was like, yo, I don't, you know what, at this point, and then they started calling me at unfavorable hours. I'm one of those people, Simba.
Yeah.
If we do not have business, my talking time to people is like literally after 11. Mm-hmm. If we do not have business, if I'm not meeting up with you or we're not having like a catch up or something, you have no business calling me after 11 o'clock, because I'm going to look at my phone even if I'm up. I'm going to do what my mum does. I look at the phone and you can call me at a sensible hour. That's the time. I don't do booty call hours. Unless we have reason to be having a conversation past 11 o'clock, don't call me, because like, let me be the last person on your list, because Nastassja will just look at her phone. And it just depends. Like if we're going out, obviously we're going out. So, you know, if we're dating, you can, even if we're dating, I can tell you, my exes will tell you Nastassja looked at her phone. I really, really appreciate my sleep. I think my sleep is such a sacred time. And for somebody to disturb my sleep over another person in the world, that's not me. And you know what was funny about this situation is how draining. I was just listening and I felt drained, like physically and mentally drained, to the point where I was like, yeah, I just had to stop answering their calls. And I know it sounds pretty bad and I feel bad, but like I had to tell the person like, yo, you need to ease up, because if you're like this with me, how you like this with the person that you're trying to get with? Like, this is mad suffocating, fam. I mean, if this is love, it's not my kind of love, but this is this person's kind of love, and I get it. But I just told them they need to relax.
You know, I can't lie. For me, like at 185 messages, I would have checked out. I would have checked out. I may have even blocked the person. Like, 185 is just way.
I literally sent this in with a screenshot of it, and he was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because like for me, that would be like, oh, okay, this is just the beginning, right? Like when the person's comfortable, how many? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it always going to hit 500 messages?
That's what I mean. The comfortability then got to, I'm going to call you about at 12 midnight, 12:30 in the evening to chat about this one thing. And I'm just like, I opened the door to chaos. And I'm just like, that's my business, innit? That's my fault, innit? Like, yo, like boundaries, innit? And that's what I learned from this situation. Even though like holding space for people is really like something, I really try and have that space for people, because I anyway just generally feel like when someone reaches out to you, they're reaching out because they feel like you're a neutral party. They can open up to you, and I always try and hold that space. But then what I learned from this is like, yes, you can hold space from people, but you also have to have boundaries for yourself, because I had to say to the person, I'm not mentally equipped for this. And it's weird because this week, I swear, like this week, I've just had people randomly call me about their relationship problems. And I'm just like, yo, do you see the states of my relationship? I am not qualified. I'm underqualified for what you're asking me, because I'm just trying to live. And my relationship advice these days is like, yo, you just need to be happy by yourself. Like, forget about this person that you're trying to like sweeten up. Be happy by yourself. Stop questioning. When you're questioning stuff, it's because you have, there's that insecurity within you. I hate saying it, but it's something that I've had to learn myself. So I'm just like to people, stop asking me about relationship advice. Are you enjoying yourself? Like, are you happy? Do you wake up and you go, you take a deep breath and go, today I'm happy? If you're not waking up and smelling the fresh air and saying, today you're happy, work on yourself. Forget about other people right now. Just do you, boo. I mean, I'm doing that, and I can tell you, I wake up every day and I'm happy.
I am going to refrain. It's the word refrain. Like, I'm not going to give any relationship.
But that's what, like, honestly, that's my relationship. I don't have any. Like, I actually don't have it. But you're kind of
telling the people, like, come out of it.
No. I'm not telling you to come out of it.
If you're not happy, then step out.
No, not like that. I'm saying, do you wake up within yourself and ask yourself if you're happy? I'm not saying come out of your relationship. No, do what you need to do. Like, that's none of my business. I'm saying that, like, when you come into me for advice, my only advice is, do you wake up and ask yourself if you're happy? If you're not happy, you need to start making yourself happy. That's it.
Okay.
that I'm not telling you what to do because I don't know what to do. I've had to tell people this all week, like, yo, this situation that you're telling me, I don't know what to do. I'm a mere mortal. I'm only Nastassja. I'm a mere mortal in this world. And I'm just trying to get through it like everybody else. I don't have the answers for you, Sway. I actually don't. But just be happy. My thing is, like, if you wake up and you're not happy, make yourself happy first. That's it.
Yeah, happiness is mad important. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and I was my disclaimer was, hey, I don't have politically correct views on relationships. So, like, I'm not the best person to ask. Everybody's situation is different, isn't it?
And I'm just like, yo, I'm gonna have to start taking deposits before I start charging my time for any kind of relationship advice, because I'm not the person.
Maybe you could do an agony aunt show.
Nah, fam.
What was that thing on Choice FM? Was it Choice FM where they used to call mad late at like 11, 12 o'clock? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Jenny Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jenny Francis is dope, innit? Like, me personally, I don't have, like, I couldn't tell you from start to... I couldn't tell anybody what to do in their relationship, because you know what? I'm still trying to figure me out, and I don't feel I'm qualified for that. All I know is, like, I'm just trying to I'm happy, like, and I'm just trying to live in my own happiness, innit? And that's the thing that I'm concentrating. So that's my advice to everyone. When people come to me, I'm just like, are you happy? And they're just like, huh? And I'm like, are you happy? And if they tell me, like, this one girl who came to me, I was like, are you happy? She was complaining about this guy. She was like, rapping about this guy. And I was like, but are you happy? I was like, Babs, are you happy? And she was like, no, I'm not happy. And I was like, start making yourself happy first. And she was like, Nastassja, what does that mean? And I was like, make yourself happy first. Forget about everything else. Just make yourself happy. And then that's when you find the answer. So that's my advice, isn't it?
Actually, I like that. A lot.
Is it?
Yeah. Because it reminds me of something. I don't know exactly what he said. I remember, like, Will Smith had a situation with Jada.
Yeah.
And I think she said something, I'm paraphrasing here, but she said something to him along the lines of, like, I don't know, make me happy or something like that. And he said something to her along the lines of, like, you have to find happiness in yourself, or you have to make yourself happy before you can invite anybody else in.
That's the reality, right? That's the reality. If you're in a relationship, one thing I found when I've been in a relationship, there's been a part of me that's had an expectation that this person has to make me happy, or being with this person is what's going to make me happy. But when you're with that person, you find out, hold on, am I actually happy? There is a part of you that's happy, but there is an expectation that that person was supposed to elevate you to another level of happiness, which is incorrect. You cannot expect someone to elevate, like, you cannot expect somebody else to be the be all and end all of your happiness. Like, literally, for you, happiness starts from inside of you. And this is something I've been learning. Like, and my best analogy for it is nature. When you look at nature, right? Nature is just, a tree is just happy being a tree, right? A tree ain't trying to be a rose. It ain't trying to be a bush. It's just being a tree. And when you look at it, it understands that, yo, there's seasons that my leaves are going to fall off, but next season I'm going to bloom to my fullest. I'm going to grow bigger leaves. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, and that's how I see love. Like, love is something that literally starts within you. You nurture yourself. Do you wake up and you're nurturing yourself? And that's one thing I've been practicing. I wake up and I nurture myself first. Before I nurture anybody else, me can nurture myself. Like, me, I have to do me. And when I'm nurturing myself, I can nurture other people in the best way I can, which is like, if I'm holding space for you, I hold space, but I have a boundary. Like, don't overstep that. And it, like, yo, and that's my thing. I nurture myself. And when you nurture yourself, you find the most simplest, I find joy in just sitting here and watching, like, looking outside the window and watching nature go by, because it's just peaceful. It's just peaceful. And that's my thing. Like, that's my advice to, like, anybody, really. And especially, like, people with relationships. I've just been like, this week I've been like, no. This, like, why is this, why are all these people coming? But it's just one of those things where it's just like, they're there for a reason. It's there for a reason. But my thing is, like, I'll repeat this over and over again. Nurture yourself and be happy within. And then once you're happy within, you can find joys in other people. And something I'd listened to, another podcast I listened to recently, they were describing what love is. And they said love is when you can love someone not in their best of times, when they're not showing up. Yeah. And I find that people who can do that are people who love themselves within. People who can't, I'm not saying that you don't have love for yourself, that's why you can't love somebody at their best. It's when you see someone who's not at their best and you can't love them, is because there's been an expectation, or you've already molded a picture of who this person is. Therefore, you're only loving one dimension of that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that is...
This is a pre-Valentine's Day episode. No, I'm joking.
I was going to say, like, Valentine's is around the corner, so
Yeah.
love is in the air. Maybe that's why you've been getting all these phone calls. People want to prepare for that 14th of February.
Not with me though, but with they're talking about the other people. Like, I'm not even that I'm even looking right now. To be honest, I'm just enjoying my own space, if I'm honest. Like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, where I'm going, and just nurturing myself, because it's been the best couple of months. It's hard changing your mindset. I'm not going to lie. It is hard because you have to even love the parts of you that you dislike the most. That's always very challenging.
Yeah, no, I can sympathize with that. Learning to, how do I put this? This sounds wrong, but not learn to love yourself. Being comfortable with your own company.
Yes.
Is like the start.
Yes.
When you enjoy just your own company, another way of putting it, simpler, is like tidy your house before you can invite anybody in.
I love that. I love that. I love that. You know why? Because it's so freaking true. And at the start of this year, right, I was talking to my friend and I said to her, like my flatmate, she's my friend as well, right? And I said to her, you know what? When your life is all raggedy and all like things are just happening and you're just like, the things that are happening in your life makes no sense, yeah? You have to take a look at where you lay your head and where you sleep and eat at night. If your house is like messy, understand your life is a mess. And that's why I love that analogy. And because in my culture, I'm from Zimbabwe, it's something that my mum says to me consistently. And my grandmother even says, like, you shouldn't just keep hordes of rubbish in your house, because that's that's how you are reflected out in the world. And people think, I remember saying this to her and she was just like, really? And I was like, think about it. Like, how you portray yourself in your house is the way you're going to show up in the world. So if your handbag is always a mess, yeah, like, understand, like, money is very messy to you, you know. But once you start tidying it up, you kind of see it unblocks and unclutters, you know, your energies and your atmosphere and your universe, and then you can allow good things to come in. Good things can't come and lie on top of bad things, right? So that's why I love that analogy. That is such a beautiful, because I see that as well. One of my pet hates is when people throw their clothes on the floor. I can't stand it. Like, I just can't. And I'm just always just like, it really rubs them. One of my sisters does it all the time. I'm just like, your life is a mess. Put your clothes in your hanger and hang them nicely, and, you know, keep things in order. And therefore you will always allow that space for good energy to come and live. You know, good energy can't come and sit on top of your clutter. It doesn't work like that. You must clean out your house. And that's why I like to have a spring clean every so often, just to declutter. Just take off all of that and sage up the house and thing. Yeah.
It's funny you say this, because I remember when I was a kid, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I remember when I was a kid, I used to remember, this was well up until I was a teenager actually, I used to remember where I threw something and able to find it in my room. So if I had a hat, I always remember I threw it there, I threw this there. Like, my room was a mess, but I used to remember where I threw stuff. It's only through like getting into like relationships and I'm like, oh, no, I can't like have a lady around in my house looking like that, and
right?
Living with someone, you realize that you have to come correct and stuff. So
you know why I love this, what you're saying as well, yeah? There's a certain please don't come for me. Like, okay, he's the best example that I can use, right? One of my siblings, right? Their room was always a freaking, like freaking mess. When I say mess, it was like literally a hurricane came through and literally vomited their clothes. And it was just like, and I would enter the room and I would just be like, fam, how do you find stuff? And he said that.
Same thing, yeah.
Oh, I know where I threw stuff. I know where I put it. I can throw it here and I know it's going to be there because nobody's trying to touch it. And then I was like, nah, fam, your life is a mess. This is messy. This is messy. And this person always used to lose their bank card and their passport. He's had more passports. I've already given it away. But he's had more he's had more passports and bank cards than I've had probably in my whole entire life. Imagine.
Okay.
That's how often he was losing shit.
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
And then it was one day, I saw this boy clean out his room. I ain't never seen, like, when I say this was a task and a half, he woke up like at about, like, it was like 6, like 6:45, 6 o'clock, it's 7:45, 7 in the morning. And he was throwing out stuff. I ain't never seen, I was like, oh my God, what? I was like, thank Jesus, Holy Spirit, you have come down upon this child, because I was getting worried because, how are you going to sleep? Like, you wake up in a mess, you go to sleep in a mess, but you still manage to find your clothes, each to their own, right?
Okay.
Like, he cleaned out his room. And so I went to him and I was just like, yo, bro, what? Like, this is different. Yeah. And he was like, he literally said to me, my life is a mess because my room is a mess, so I need to clean it out. And so I'm just like cleaning out my room so, I can get good vibes again. And he reordered his life. And I'm honestly, I tell him so all the time how proud I am of him, because it was something that he realized. And he said, his words was like, I'm sick and tired of losing my passport, my bank cards, and I'm sick of my life just being just a mess and just not knowing where things are. And he tidied up his room, restructured his room. I was just like, I thank the Lord that day. I thank the Lord all the time, because like I never thought I'd see the day that he bought a wallet with what's one of those little wire things
that attaches to your hip kind of thing.
Yeah. The twirly things. He bought one of those. He bought a new wallet. He had all of his cards and he always attached it to him. And I was like, because I saw the spiral thing and I was like, bro, what's that for? And he was like, yeah, because I keep on losing my cards, so I thought the best way to keep it on me when I go out is to have this attached to my wallet. And I was even like, even I'm not that far forward thinking, so proud of him. And from that day, he saw a change in his life. And he even said, I've noticed changes that like things happen for me quicker and I've got things in order. And he's kept it up and I'm really proud. So that's a great example of like decluttering actually brings in better spirits and causing better energy in your life. And I'm really proud of him. And I hope he's really proud of me. I'm really proud. I hope he's really proud that I've actually said this in this episode. So.
I'm sure those are nice things.
And fully, like, and I'm so proud. And I think for everyone, it gets to that stage where they need to do it, innit?
Sorry, people, I'm just turning off my phone. How rude of me.
Always.
So I'm gonna be the bad guy, the villain, once again. We're kind of like, we haven't even started talking about food yet.
No, that's why I was gonna just say this brings us on to about today's topic.
I'll let you introduce today's topic.
But have we even introed the show though?
No, we haven't.
So let's intro the show. Guys, that was your starter. And as you know, we get straight to the starters and then intro the main course of the show.
So, Juice and the Sauce is the show that chops up and serves you live topics narrated through the love of food and most importantly, desserts. Charismatic random stories for a sweet entree, followed by a meaty main course of discussions, followed by recommended flavours from the continent to round up this foodie's delight of a podcast.
Yum, yum. I have to say, like, I'm honestly looking like trash today, but I don't actually care. I'm just having this is like baking attire.
I think you're, you know when you're your own worst critic?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think you look as bad as you're describing.
Oh, look at...
I'm not trying to earn the brownie points. I'm just saying. Like, I'm just
Simba
saying.
just wants some cake.
No,
No,
not even. Not even.
No, I'm joking. Oh, thank you, Simba.
No worries.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the main course today, we are going to be touching on. Well, today's what's today? The 3rd?
So today is the 4th of February, and we are officially out of Europe. No.
What kind of? Because they still got up to December.
Well, Brexit is official now, isn't it?
Basically.
Brexit's official. So everybody that voted for Brexit, here we are. Is it like 2 years later? 3 years later after that unanimous vote. It wasn't unanimous, actually. It was a very tight vote back in 2016 when we were asked by the former prime minister, well, the how many prime ministers we've had since then, like David Cameron. We'll never understand why he did that, but you know, we're here now. We don't need to wallow in the past. We're here. Brexit has probably dominated the press since that time because Theresa May tried to scratch a deal and nobody was having it, and she got overturned, and now we've got Boris Johnson, and Boris Johnson has had his way with the world, well, with the UK, and he's got us out of Europe. So what does that mean for the food industry? And I think this is quite interesting because now that we're outside now that we no longer follow EU regulations, that gives us, according to according to the new world that we're entering. I don't want to quote people because I've read skims and bits and pieces on this, but according to the government currently, it gives us more leeway to cut deals with other countries outside of the EU now. And one of the countries that we're looking to deals are being made with is the US. That means we're gonna have US imports. You know what, like, if I'm being honest, the only one thing that I really I'm a sweet tooth person, innit? So give me all the bad shit from America, like let that come through. Because there's certain American foods that I would like sweets that I would like to be at my disposal.
Like what kind of sweets?
M&M pretzels, are the fucking shit. Like M&Ms are good, but let me tell you, M&M pretzels are another level, and they're quite low in calorie as well.
No.
So I'm looking forward to like M&M pretzels being available on tap, but I know this is probably never going to happen anyway. And then I'm looking forward to all the different flavors of Oreos. Then I'm looking forward to having more variety of sugary cereals, because there's certain, like, honestly, like, even listening to myself say this is just like, Nastassja, honestly, is this what you're looking forward to? Like, literally. But I'm not saying that these things are going to come through, but this is my wish list of things. Sauces. Really good sauces to come through. I'm not a fan of deep American chocolate. Like Hershey's, you can kind of keep that. Like, I don't know what it is about Hershey's that people like. Is it just because it's nostalgic or something? Because I've tasted them and they taste like chalk. In my opinion. Those Hershey's Kisses taste like freaking chalk.
While you were speaking, funny enough, I was trying to look up if there's some law or something about like what's in Hershey's, about the amount of sugar, amount of cocoa or something like that. I couldn't find it, but it does taste like cardboard when you compare to like our chocolate. It's just like there's something not right about it.
I mean,
a lot of American chocolates like that.
Yeah, no, I don't really dig American chocolates. Like, and that's one thing. I think for me, American chocolate is more sugary than actually cocoa. You know, like the ratio of it's an upsell kind of thing. We'll put less cocoa in it and more sugars to make more money out of it. That's what I think about American chocolates anyway. I haven't found an American chocolate bar that I dig. If there is one that you feel like I should try, that y'all are like, yeah, this is the shit, then let me know.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're both chocolate fans, so by all means, like, send us some, or we'll just go and buy it and whatever, and we'll try some chocolate. Outside of that, also, outside of this today, we touched on chlorinated chicken that could potentially come from the US. Are you scared about it?
I think that's the biggest conversation in the news right now, because obviously a lot of our poultry, you didn't know, like a lot of poultry came from, should I say, the European Union. A lot of it came from Poland. There's another country as well. Is it Czech Republic?
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of poultry and a lot of pork comes from those regions. So poultry has been the biggest topic. So where are we going to get all of our chickens from? I'm just like, do we eat that much chicken anyway for us to wonder where the chickens are going to come from, you know? And obviously the US, they have chlorinated chicken. And I'm just like, I don't know. If I'm being honest, it doesn't sound safe at all.
So I was trying to, like, I guess, check about this or read about this before we did this. I read an article on the BBC, right? And according to this article, right, I'll try and link it up in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
What they're basically suggesting is that even the EU doesn't necessarily see a problem with washing the chicken with chlorine, right?
Yeah.
What they have an issue with is they believe that by washing the chicken with chlorine, you're less likely to be, I guess, diligent throughout the process of manufacturing this chicken in order to minimize like diseases like salmonella and stuff like that. Whereas they feel that within Europe, that if you, for taking other precautions, you can use that to keep like bacteria and salmonella down, things like that. Basically, they're saying that, you know, the whole chlorine thing is a shortcut, and then you won't, you know, be diligent elsewhere. Yeah. Because there's something else from some other report. There was another occasion where they admitted, you know, they don't see the issue with the chlorine. So with that said, it makes you think, okay, like if it's not really an issue, like
why are we making a big deal out of it? I'm just kind of like, is chlorine even safe to consume? Even though, like, obviously we're not consuming, it's not like it's been bathed in chlorine and it's been served up straight away. There's the trace of chlorine in it is probably going to be at such a 0.00 percentage, which it's not harmful for the body. But we say this now, but we really just don't know what the after effects. I think for me, let me finish my sentence because I do this. The after effects of that long-term basis would be, if you get what I mean. I think there's been so much done to chicken already. We know that back in the day, or just even in current times, that chickens are pumped with water to make them look fatter. That's why when you're frying out a chicken, even if you haven't frozen it or it's just fresh from the shop and you're putting it in a pan, it produces so much water, and that's literally the water that they've been pumping the chicken with. And that in itself has its own dangers. And then you start to think on a long-term basis, what does that do to the human body? And when you start looking at how many illnesses or diseases that the body can form if we're eating large quantities of this. And this is why I completely understand. I know we talk about being vegetarian or vegan. It's not even being vegetarian or vegan. It's watching the amount, watching the amounts of meat you eat on a weekly basis. Because yes, our bodies can't break down like eating chicken every single day. And I know I used to have a diet of eating chicken every day. There was always meat on my plate. Like growing up, there was always meat on my plate. But I understand where that came from now. It's like coming from where my grandmother grew up in Zim, where chicken, like having meat was like a special occasion. When she came to this country and could afford to have chicken or meat every single day, it's like, why not? Like, it's that thing of like, I didn't get this when I was younger, and let me relishing in it now. But on a health scale factor, we can expand our waistlines by eating meat every single day. Like, and our bodies are completely different from how it was back in like the 18th centuries, where people were more leaner and their diets were different, whereas our diets can heavily consist of meat, not just one meal a day, but like from morning till evening kind of thing. So my worry is like, what are really the long-term effects of having this? And I know the US has said, there's no long-term effects, we're all fine, but are we really?
I think that's a very good point. That would, scare me, especially like with all this genetically modified food and stuff like that. It's like, what's going to happen in like 50, 60 years?
Because the reality is, we've never been exposed to chlorinated meat. And if we have, they've just never told us that they've chlorinated. We've been eating what we've been exposed to, and what is very known, that like obviously the meat that we eat, you know, it's pumped with, you know, you get different types of chicken. Like you get the organic chicken, then you've got like the corn-fed chicken, and it's like, so what they feeding the normal chickens with? Like those ones are just what, caged chickens just being like pumped and stuff. So I think the funniest thing is they like, is there really, I really want to know, what I kind of then break this down to is, we're all worried, they're worried about this whole poultry thing. Is there really this massive demand in the UK for chicken that we're just like, oh, all the chickens are going to run out? Like, and that's one thing because you go into a supermarket, right? And one of the things that always gets me is like, there is so much meat on the shelf, but then there's so much discounted meat on offer.
So what they could be doing potentially is getting cheaper meat from the States. Because the one thing I always remember, like when I first went to Miami, like me and my guys, we went to, there was some Mexican restaurant or something like that, right? And then they had like, you could order like quarter chicken, half chicken, similar to Nando's, right? And at that time, I remember like we used to eat very often like a half chicken and a quarter.
Yeah.
Whatever. We weren't feeling that hungry, so we thought like, all of us thought we'd get like half a chicken each, right? It's probably about 5-6 of us, yeah. This chicken, it was huge. Like the half chicken was like almost like a whole chicken at Nando's in the UK, right?
I can, going to the US, even their KFC chicken, I was just like, is this even chicken?
Do you know what I mean?
I was just like, who has, like, what kind of chicken is this? Like superhuman mutated
some
chicken.
Mutant chicken or something. But if they're getting chicken that big, because even that day, like we barely finished just over a quarter. All of us, we left so much food. But if they can get chicken that big, you know, potentially there might be some savings. Like, so if you're getting like diced breast, things like that, pre-packaged, is potentially coming in cheaper from the US. Yeah,
and that's the thing that worries me most. And I think when I look at the trail of who it affects more, that kind of chicken, you know, having chicken from the US, great, we get bigger chicken, but like then it's like the health part of it is who it affects more is like the poorer people, you know, the people who are just kind of, in terms of health, like, are we actually testing this meat out to make sure it's safe? And that's the one thing that I would say, having regulations of like safety is so important with especially poultry. Because we've been through, like, there's been mad cow disease. I mean, the coronavirus is doing its thing out here, you know, and it's got people, it's got the world. It's not just got China shook, it's actually got the world shook, because I think I read that they don't have an antiviral for it yet. But that may be just me. I don't know if that's true. But I'm sure they're still searching for, they're treating it with antibiotics, but they need that one antivirus that will just wipe it out. Like, you can have this and you'll be good, I think. But yeah, I'm just kind of worried about, like, for me, like, chlorinated chicken just doesn't sound good.
It doesn't have a nice ring to it.
It doesn't. And I know people are like, we think, oh, but Americans have it all the time. But Americans have a lot of things that aren't good for them. That we're just like, no. For me, I'm just like, there's a lot of things that aren't good for us, but is this what we want? And so I think that's the biggest kind of thing on the table right now, is like the poultry and the poultry industry. Are we going to start having more GM foods? And I did read an article about like people being worried about the amount of GM products that will now be available on the market, because even in baking, there's certain things, like certain colorings, for example, that when we were in the EU, we couldn't have over here from the States because it wasn't within the guidelines of the EU. But now that obviously we're no longer a part of that, that gives wider scope. Like, especially like red coloring is really, really dangerous, because you can't really get a vivid red. No, like when you get like vivid colors, like the oranges and the reds. I don't know if there's a documentary on Netflix. You know, I love watching Netflix documentaries. I forgot what it's called. It was about the C. Oh, it's called The C Word.
Okay.
and that was talking about, they had different episodes of different topics within the C word. C word is cancer. And they started talking about how food affects cancer. And back in the day, but it's not even back in the day, I still think that they do this now, but you know, orange food that taint your fingers, there's basically an ingredient that they put in there that makes it moreish and orange, that makes you want to eat more of it.
Never knew.
Yeah.
Never knew.
So it's used a lot in, like back in the day, they found it very obviously useful, because that's, if you put this ingredient in like crisp and stuff, instead of having a small bag, you're now buying a big bag because they're so moreish, and you'll keep eating it because of those ingredients. And like they had to put a regulation of not using that in foods anymore, because it's all about how much money can we make out of this and stuff like that. And it makes you addicted to it.
So is this like e-numbers and stuff like that?
It's like e-numbers. I forgot what it's called. Like, it's very, like, honestly, this is very a scatterbrain of me, of not to actually find the name and have like the precise like details to it. But it's been tested many times, and that certain foods contain this one ingredient that makes it moreish, and it's usually the orange product. So as well, they spoke about the colors that they use in food, which is also really important because it catches your eye. So imagine like the reason why you love like cheesy puffs, and because naturally, if people don't know, the color of cheese is not orange.
What's the color of cheese?
It's like pale. Like nothing really has like, when it comes to certain foods, some foods don't have a color. If you know that a carrot is actually not orange, a carrot, the natural color of a carrot, I think they say, because you can get purple carrots now, right? But orange isn't the natural color of a carrot. It's because if it was its natural color, nobody would buy it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So some foods like, and this is the thing, I suppose, where my mum is, that's her field and she knows this stuff, is like there's certain foods that aren't traditionally the color that they are right now, and the reason why is they crossbreed foods. It's like crossbreeding apples. Like I'm not sure if people know this, but there are certain types of apples that aren't natural, meaning that they crossbreed them. So I watched, this was on another documentary as well. With apples, they will basically take, like, they want to make a tart. Say they want to make an apple that's not as tarty as a Granny Smith, but has the texture of a Royal Gala. They will, sorry, these are all apple names. They will basically get the two stems of those apples and then they tie them together.
Are you talking about when they put the wood together and they wrap it? What's it called again?
It's, I don't know, it's crossbreeding. But basically, it's like, you know how you say you get crossbreeds of dogs and stuff, like, oh, it's part Chihuahua and part Pug. Like, I know that's a crazy mix, but do you get what I mean? Yeah. And so that's how they create a new apple. And I think there is, it takes quite a while for that to, that breed of apple to grow. And then it goes through a lot of tests to see if it tastes nice, if the texture is right, and obviously how they can then grow it in the greenhouses. That's why we have so many varieties of apples, because half of them are very unnatural. Not unnatural, but they aren't, realistically, there's no seed. They've created that seed from putting two apples together. And that's that they do that with quite a lot of, they do that with a lot of fruits, as in getting different types of like fruits, like a Costa Rican banana. And even with bananas, right? That's another good example. The bananas that we have in shops, like what you buy in the supermarket, those aren't actual real bananas. Real bananas are like really midget. Small, short ones. So what they did with the real banana, I forgot exactly what they did, but they added some sort of another kind of seed to it, or another fruit to make it longer. So So there's a lot of things, because obviously you can get the green banana, you get the plantain banana as well, and they grow differently from normal bananas as well. So yeah, that's what happens. Like even with tomatoes, that's another popular one. So you can crossbreed tomatoes as well. What other thing? There, broccoli as well, because you can get like purple broccoli now, and you can get sprouting broccoli. They do it often with lettuce as well. This was all in the same program, and then at this point, I was just like, all I should be doing is drinking water. Can't eat, can't trust anything, can ya? No, and it makes you wonder, and like, and yeah, it's very interesting. And when you get into the science of food, like I said, my mum loves that kind of stuff, and I love it too. I love knowing about how food grows and the plants that you can eat and the plants that you can't eat, and how they actually come up with certain vegetables and ting. It's all very, very interesting. Like very, very interesting. But when it coming back to the chlorinated chicken, it's a no from me, dog. I suppose that I have more cautions to it, because it's like there's certain foods that come out and I'm just like, I ain't gonna eat it as yet. I'm not gonna be jumping straight into it yet. I just need to see the after effects, because it's happened on plenty of occasions. Oh, like with the whole soya thing, when soya came out and people were drinking soya, and then they found out like guys who were drinking Access soya started growing boobs, and women, and some women, it affects women in the sense of it makes you infertile and stuff like that. All of these things, but there's people, you know, when it came out, everybody was jumping on the bandwagon like, oh, after doing numerous tests, like soy is not as good for you as it says it is, so you need to ease up on it, right? So that's how I kind of see it. When something new comes out, I'm very kind of cautious. Yeah, so what do you think of like chlorinated chicken? And for me, it's a no, like I said, no for me.
So for me, I know that when I go to the States, I'm still going to be eating the chicken. And it tastes very, very good, so I haven't really made
that's because of the way they season it. We're talking about UK seasoning on top of American chicken with UK seasoning.
But even of the like the health stuff, speaking on the health stuff, I still know if I go to the
that's
States,
true.
I will still eat it, so I'm not 100% sure. But on that note, sorry guys, this week's episode is going to be very short and sweet. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Don't forget you can find us on all the social platforms. Just search for us on
Spotify?
Yeah, Spotify,
Apple
Podcast, and YouTube. Check us out on YouTube.
And SoundCloud. So on all the streaming platforms. Sorry, I'm helping listen.
Any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
Okay, so we started off talking about love randomly at the beginning of this episode, but that's only because I had a really lovely week. We had a really lovely week last week. So in talking about love isn't just about loving somebody else, it's about loving yourself first. So love what you eat as much as you love. Yeah. Love yourself by showing yourself love, by cooking yourself real good food. I think that's the message for this week. Love is just not giving it away, it's also giving it back to you.
Love it. All right.
I know, sorry, this is a super, super short episode. We gave you 3 hours last week and we thought we'd give you something short and sweet this time. So, in saying that, we're checking out.
Indeed. Thank you guys for watching or listening, and see you guys next week.
Bye.